Sorry, I'm late. I was working with a couple of people and I'm like, got to go. I will be back with y'all in just a little bit. So no, but anyway, I am here now. Um, and most everybody knows, but drop your information and your contact information over in the chat. We'll have that. And then well, let's see. Oh man, this is exciting because like there's people here. I'm excited. So I will introduce myself and then we will go around and introduce ourselves. I will introduce the fact that we have chairs for this council now. So I'm excited about that. So we'll just go that. So I am Krisha Spears. I am with the Reach Initiative. We are all things reentry in West Virginia. We help people overcome those obstacles and those barriers as they're released, to find their next things that they need. And I'll pass it over to Terry here in a minute and she can tell, what those things are and how we do it. I run all 21 reentry councils for the state. So if there's anyone on here that wants to speak at another reentry council, please let me know and I will get you scheduled to present there. But I'm kind of the behind the scenes of the Reach is 100% grant funded. We have zero state dollars, zero state money. So I am the one out there writing the grants and chasing down money to ensure that we can provide the services that we do. And so the past couple of days, I have quickly wrote a grant for the Parkersburg area so that they can have supplies for the duffel bags that we hand out to people. It's Prime Day yesterday and today, so I was ordering a whole bunch of socks and underwear and t-shirts and stuff to put in the duffel bags for the Palatine areas. So I might be ordering socks and underwear. I might be hosting a meeting. Who knows what I'm doing? So, so I'm gonna stop talking about me and then I'll pass it over to Terry. She can introduce herself. And then we'll just kind of popcorn around, introduce each, ourselves. And then if we can save the two people that have reentry council listed, save them for last when you're calling on people, and then I'll introduce them. So, Ms. Terry?
Hi, my name is Terry Castle. I'm excited to be here as always. I'm a Reach Back Navigator / PRSS. I communicate with the people coming out of prison, sometimes before they get out of prison. I help find them resources to get their license back, to get in school, to get health care sometimes. Just a jack of all trades, really. I just do whatever it takes to make them be successful and to live a happy, full, fulfilling life.
And then what Terry, I didn't mention it and I don't want, but all of our Reach Back reentry navigators do have lived experience. So they're able to communicate and build a trust relationship that a lot of people aren't. So they're able to communicate and talk with someone, not talk to someone. So that is an important part of what we do. All right.
I should have said that. I was in prison for 16 years. I've been out actually I've been out 3 years today. And I just want to help others to do whatever makes them happy, as I'm doing what makes me happy.
Congratulations on 3 years. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And you have done a lot in those 3 years. So
I've done a lot.
All right. Go ahead and pick on somebody else to introduce themselves.
Ashley.
I am Ashley Lowe. I'm the reentry coordinator with the U.S. Attorney's Office. We cover the northern 32 counties. So this one is, I always get confused which meeting I'm on, but I think we cover all the counties in this one. Yeah, Randolph and Tucker. So my job is a lot like Krisha's. I tend to help people find resources. We don't have any specific resources that we provide. However, I jump on these calls and learn about everything. And then whenever I have someone who's coming out, I am able to refer them to you all. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. And I will pass it off to Bonnie.
Thanks. Congratulations, Terry.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Bonnie Helvey. I work with Indivior. So I work more in the criminal justice space with our organization, which is a really neat opportunity because I help people get access to any sort of MAT program. If that particular criminal justice entity doesn't have an MAT program, I can help them build it. I provide resources, just letting them, whether it's ours, we carry Sublocade, which is a long-acting injectable for opioid use disorder. If it's ours or someone else's, we're just happy someone's getting treated. Unfortunately, there's plenty of need for people just to get access to something that works. So my whole goal is just to help others and learn from everyone on this call. So thanks for having me. Oh, and I forgot to call on anybody. Just because I can't help myself, I have to go with Boy Wonderful.
Yes.
I think I called on you yesterday.
I'm sorry, I have to change my screen name. For my other small business. My name is Ian Wallace with the Hope Dealer Project. I'm here to network and pay attention to what you guys have going on, and hopefully just get some things out there in the open that we have going on for our projects, if you guys don't mind. So thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here.
Ian, if you want to call on somebody else.
Who hasn't gone?
Your counterpart there hasn't.
Oh,
Miss
well, then in
Tara?
that case, I will have Tara. I'll call on Tara. That was easy.
Okay, so my name is Tara Mason, and I am the CEO, president, and founder of the Hope Dealer Project. We are a nonprofit organization here in the Eastern Panhandle that assists individuals with navigating recovery, getting into detox, rehab, sober living, and a complete wraparound. Once they reach out to the Hope Dealer Project, they become a client for life. So it's a journey, you guys. It's not a destination. We also are having our Recovery Fest, and everyone on this call is invited. I will drop the link for registration into the chat. You're more than welcome to sign up and come and, provide the services and resources that your organization has to offer to our community. Also on that note, I know Krisha is aware, but the Hope Dealer Project has been instrumental in making contact with our governor, Jim Justice, and he actually signed a proclamation for us proclaiming that the entire state of West Virginia has gone purple for National Recovery Month. So I need purple ambassadors if you guys are interested in assisting us with ensuring your community is purple and just spreading awareness. There are some links that I did drop in my signature block. You're welcome to click those, check out our pages. We are trying to spread this information far and wide. We've got 55 counties and I've got a team of about 15, but the more the merrier. I do need purple ambassadors. So I'm going to drop the link for registering for our Recovery Fest. And I'm going to share with you guys the beautiful proclamation that Jim Justice signed for me just on the 15th. It's the second year that we've gone purple. So if you didn't hear about it the first year, you're definitely hearing about it this year. We've got to get this information across our entire state. Far too long, us mountaineers have bled blue and gold. It's time to bleed purple. It's time to bleed purple, especially for the month of September. So let your recovery network, know that we've gone purple, and let them know about our recovery fest. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tara. Do you want to call on somebody else? Do you want me to call on somebody?
Let's see. How about John?
Hey everybody, this is Barry Lee. I'm the chair here. Mr. Brewer is actually our speaker for today. I'm kind of waiting till everyone else introduce themselves. I'm sorry, this is actually my first meeting. I was having audio problems. Thanks, Christian, for taking over. I'm like, why is this not working? But we do have a lived experience speaker today. That's going to be Mr. John Burrows. So I'm kind of going to wait for him to introduce himself when everyone has done their introductions. I'm going to pass actually to Miss Samantha Ryan. And already it's been really cool to see all of you people here. And again, thanks, Krisha, for bailing me out. Miss Ryan, if you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Samantha Ryan. I am the peer recovery specialist for Tigard Valley Regional Jail. I'm also a trained West Virginia navigator. I started my sobriety journey in '04. I am now the co-chair for the Randolph County, Tucker County Reach Initiative. And the reason I'm here is I believe that we need to impact as many people as we can and help them realize simply that they were people with circumstances. So it's nice to meet everybody, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I think we still got a couple people. So Aaliyah, then Leah, Ryan, and medical services. I think that was, if I'm doing process of elimination, Scott. So I think so. Aaliyah, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Aaliyah Tanner. I am the CAP advocate for disability rights of West Virginia. CAP stands for Client Assistance Program. We are a federally mandated protection advocacy group. Every single state is mandated to have us. Different states call us different things, but in West Virginia, it's disability rights of West Virginia. Our focus is to work with people that have disabilities of all ages, all disabilities. Does not matter what they are. My focus with the client assistance program is people that have barriers to employment due to their disabilities, and our worlds intersect because a lot of people who have been through the justice system also have disabilities. And so what we do is we try to work together. We work with vocational rehab, which is Division of Rehab Services, to get people the services that they need and the training that they need so they can get to gainful employment. And that way they can support themselves, they can support their families. It just makes it better for everybody all the way around. I did put my contact information in the chat as well as our website. And our website has loads and loads and loads of resources for people to be able to advocate for themselves. We have everything from communication cards for people who are nonverbal. We have letters that parents can use when they're writing letters to their school, when they're asking for IEPs or special accommodations. We have letters for people to use with their employers. There are all kinds of resources on our website, and we add resources. Every time we get a new resource that we can put out there, we add it to our website. So please dig around on there. If you guys want brochures, information, just email us or call us. We can send information. And of course, I also put my phone number and my email address. So if there's any direct questions you guys might have, you can always just shoot me an email. And I will call on Leah Hall.
Thank you, Leah. My name's Leah Hall. I am with Jobs in Hope, West Virginia. I'm the transition agent for this area. I cover Randolph, Tucker, Upshur Gilmer and Braxton counties. Jobs in Hope, West Virginia, for those of you not familiar, is a program for folks who have barriers to employment. We help eliminate those through training and education and connection with community resources as well. A lot of the folks that I get the privilege of working with are coming from reentry, and I would say, you know, there's a good chunk of them that also identify as being in recovery as well. There is a misconception that Jobs and Hope only serves people in recovery, and I just want everybody to know that that is not an accurate statement. Jobs and Hope is open to every West Virginia resident as long as they are 18 years of age or older, have a barrier to employment, and are willing and able to engage in training and education and other services. So we do have a website, jobsandhope.gov, I believe, but my contact information is in there. If you have somebody that you're working with that you think would be could use the services, then please reach out. We are in every county in the state. We have a transition agent that covers the whole state. And so if it's not somebody in my area, there is somebody else, another transition agent that can help your participant. So, and then Jeremy, did you go? Then it's your turn.
Thanks, Leah. Hi, I'm Jeremy. I'm from the Traumatic Brain Injury Program at WVU. We are a free services program that helps find different services for individuals that have had a brain injury or concussion. They're very prevalent in the criminal justice and substance use demographics. Up to usually it's at or above like 60% of the individuals have had a previous traumatic brain injury. So we're just here to help help those with a TBI. We also we're always kind of searching for places to hopefully implement some screening too. So you all that help these individuals can identify those with a brain injury, and we can kind of work together to help those folks. So yeah, we're a free program. My contact information's in the chat. So thanks, and I'll call on, I think, Ryan. Thanks.
Hey, thank you. I'm Ryan Rapp. I am a CRC for the DCR. I'm fairly new in position, and I'm just here to try to learn some things and gather information. Thank you all.
All right, I think we have Rihanna, and then whoever medical services was that I said that, and then Marky, and then we'll wrap it up and let Mr. Burrows speak.
Hello everybody, my name is Rihanna. I work with Unicare, which is one of the 3 Medicaid plans the state of West Virginia has. I'm part of the population health team, so we try to tackle any kind of barriers our members might be having. I'm a health promotion consultant, so my job is to go out into the community and promote various health topics. So if you ever want me to come in and talk about something to your guys' groups, I do anything from anxiety to vaping to reading a nutrition label. I mean, if you send me an email, I'm sure I can create some talking points for it. Anything health related. Also, just so you guys know, like if you have anybody who's a Unicare member, we offer the value added benefits and the healthy rewards. So if they're going to the doctor for general checkups, they can cash that in for gift cards on our website. So they just got to go in and register. And then there's all kinds of value add benefits as well. So for new moms, we have a lot of diaper mail orders, safe sleep kits, gas cards, $25 every twice a year, I believe. There's a general, so let them know, go on the website, check it out. They can only get it if they go in and register, but it is there for them. The gift cards are awesome. They're like Lowe's, AutoZone, Sephora, Subway, stuff like that. So if you have questions, just shoot me an email. Thank you.
All right, Marky or medical waste or medical services, whichever one wants to go next.
I'm Marky Jeffries. I am a peer recovery support specialist for Jobs and Hope. Leah pretty much summed up our program. I'm also, my office is located at Appalachian Community Health, so I deal with clients here as well. And I am also a core member of the Randolph County Task Force for Homelessness and Addiction. And I work with law enforcement in Randolph and Tucker counties to help people with SUD issues or homelessness issues, resources. I meet them on the scene. So that's basically what I do.
All right, medical services, are you there? All right. So I'm excited that Barry Lee and Samantha have expressed interest in being the chairs, the co-chairs for this committee. I'm excited to have some representation up in that area. This council has not had this much participation in a long time, so I'm excited that we've got some people coming now. So I will let
Definitely,
you two
Tricia.
take over. Oh, go
Thank
ahead.
you. Thank you. No, I was just going to thank
Yep.
you, and I'm blown away with the amount of participation, and I recognize some of these names, and there's some I definitely want to get in touch with, and didn't expect all this. So it's really, really cool. Thanks everybody for being here. Krisha, I just want to introduce Mr. John Burrows first, and then I'm going to just turn it over to him. Samantha and I will interact with him during his discussion. Just to kind of set the stage, Mr. Burrows is someone with lived experience on the side of reentry, what really goes on. And he's got an awesome, awesome story. So I can't wait to turn it over to him. John Burrows is retired on Social Security now. He's about 63 years old. He volunteers with the Veterans Association and Administration. He's a state certified life coach, a grief coach, recovery coach. He's also a crisis worker. He actually is a crisis worker in training. And I probably have some of this wrong. John will clean me up on that. In prison, he was actually a person that was dealing with people on suicide watch. He was mandated, and he is mandated to report for self-harm. So we all know how that is. In his past, his expertise was an ASCE Master Certified auto mechanic. He loves houseplants, horticulture, and what he's passionate about is the VA, helping drug addicts. And he unfortunately lost a family member, so this has touched him personally. He's really passionate about working with people with mental issues too. So I'm going to go ahead and let John take over here, and so that he can share his amazing testimony with the rest of the individuals.
Good
Thanks,
morning.
Mr. Burrows.
Good morning. My name is John Burrows. As Barry was saying, we talked the other day, Samantha, Ryan, and Barry, and myself. So that kind of helped me out a little bit. I speak with the VA at the VA for suicide and recovery prevention program they have yearly. Actually, I got another thing coming up in September here in Clarksburg. I work with the VA here in Clarksburg. I did 3.5 years in the federal prison system. Thankfully, I did it in the easiest place to do federal time for a man to do time. And that was in Morgantown, at the Morgantown FCI, up on Greenbag Road. Unfortunately, I know that most addicts are 80 to 85% addicted, self-medicating because of past traumas. I happen to be one of them. Okay. When I got out of the federal prison system, I really didn't know what was available to me as far as any kind of help in any way. I was able to get my driver's license renewed, thanks to the Clarksburg mission to help me out with that part. Then I ended up homeless and couch surfing for 2 years. And I was so far away from everything, I really couldn't find work. So I ended up homeless again, and I ended up staying at the Clarksburg mission, which turned out to be a true blessing. because that's where I finally got connected with the VA after 40 years of being denied veterans benefits because of a typographical error back when I was discharged in 1981. So the VA has helped me a lot. So I help them when they ask me to speak at something, I'm there. Just like being here today. I've known Samantha Ryan now for 10 years or so. And she was talking to me about this, and I'm like, okay, I'm on board. Let's go. All right, because I consider Samantha a friend. And, you know, there's not much I won't do for my friends. As Barry was saying, I have lost 2 family members to addiction. I lost a grandson. They found his body the day after his 24th birthday. And I lost a stepdaughter 2 years later to an overdose. So I understand what that side's like. While I was in prison, I did the residential drug abuse program. I did the non-residential program. I was part of the suicide watch cadre. I was trained to help people with, you know, just sit down and talk to them. You don't have to try to give them advice. Sometimes all people need is somebody to listen to them, not judge them. And that's what I do. Now, if I think they're serious about what they're stating, about harming themselves or someone else, I will stay within a safe area of them. And if I can stay close enough to them, I'll stay there and talk to them. But I am mandated a mandated reporter because of my certifications. And plus that, and I'm not going to sit there and watch somebody harm themselves or someone else if there's something I can do to prevent it. As far as reentry goes, like I said, I didn't know what was available. When I got to the mission, they pointed me in the direction of, you know, yeah, you can go to DHHR, you can do this, you can do that. Thankfully, the VA helped me with housing through HUD's VASH program, which if you have any veterans that's been being released or recently released, the VA will help with things like that. They help with a lot of different things. All right. There's great workers over there, great case managers over there, great people in charge of programs that help. You'll never hear me say anything bad about any of them because they've all helped me out.
John, when you were released from federal prison, can you share with the group what you were released with?
Yeah, we talked about this the other day, but when I was released, I got a new pair of jeans, which was just cheap, throwaway type jeans, a shirt, a hoodie. I had $22 on my books. I did have a CO that was in charge of the area I worked in that was great, was thankfully good enough person that he added an extra money to my books because I've worked with them for so long. So I got an extra 50 there. So when I entered a halfway house, I had 1 pair of jeans, 1 shirt, of course, you know, your underwear and hygiene products and stuff like that I have in prison. And that was about it. I had no idea where to go next. And
So
it's strange.
how did you end up going from the federal halfway house into a homeless shelter? Like, who helped you transition during that time frame?
When I got out of the federal halfway house, I ended up couch surfing for 2 years. I stayed with some friends down in Gilmer County. Well, people I thought were friends, we'll put it that way. And then I stayed with a family member for a while. And then I ended up totally homeless. I had no place to go. I was living 8 to 10 miles away from any place that could have possibly hired me with no transportation. Well, there's no way you can walk that far every day. both directions and work a job too. Just not possible. I don't care how old you are. You know, I'm 63 now. I got out in 2019. So I'd tell you there, you know, I was 58 years old. And it's impossible to try to find anything or walk that distance when you're 8 to 10 miles away from anything. So I ended up at the Clarksburg mission, which I said ended up being a blessing because things were available as far as jobs. Things were available as far as being connected with a VA. All right. Thankfully, I had a copy of my birth certificate. I had my Social Security card. I was able to renew my driver's license. I've had my GED now for well over 40 years, but I've seen a lot of people that don't have any of that. A lot of people that don't have anything as simple as a GED, and as most of us know, a GED without a GED, it's almost impossible to find a job anywhere. So that's first step is they need some type of help with, you know, education wise. Next step is knowing where to go to get Social Security card or birth certificate or a state ID or whatever. A lot of people don't even know that. They have no idea. I've seen a lot of addicts in prison, out of prison, in the halfway house, especially in the homeless shelter. A lot of addiction. I've actually seen people drop because of fentanyl in the federal prison. And if it hadn't been for another inmate and a CO, he would not have survived. So anybody that tries to say, okay, yeah, they're in prison, they're not, there's nothing around, they're wrong. You can find anything you want in prison, basically, pretty much. It's people have got to, and when they come out, they have to have the right mindset. You're gonna have one or two mindsets. Number one, it's okay, this is what I know how to do, so I'm gonna get out here and do it again. Odds are they're gonna end up back in prison. Number two, you come out with a mindset, nah, I ain't going back there. I can improve myself. I can do better for myself. That's what I've done.
Mr. Burrows, could you talk about some of those classes that you took when you were preparing yourself for release while in prison? I thought that was really interesting.
Oh yeah, I sure can. When I went into the federal prison system, when I went up to Morgantown, number one, I had self-report. That's a difficult thing to do. But when I went in there, I had the mindset. Again, there's a couple of choices on mindset. I could have went in there with a poor, pitiful me attitude and expected everything to be handed to me, which I know in prison that's not going to happen. Or I could have went in there with the attitude, I'm going to learn as much as I can to improve myself, to help deal with my issues. So I did the CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. I did DBT. I also did several hours, I think it was like 48 hours of dealing with people for the suicide watch. I was trained with that. All right. The CBT, I'm thinking that was a 60-hour program. And we're talking 2 to 3 hours at a time here, not 8 hours a day. We're talking 2 to 3 hours a week. It took 60 hours to get through that program. All right. I also did the same thing with DBT. Fortunately, I had a wonderful psychologist in there. She was leading the non-residential drug abuse program, and she has a video on a dysfunctional family that she shows at the end of each one of these programs. The program was 6 months. It's like 3 to 4 hours a week. All right. as she's showing that video, she's seen something in me, and I don't know how she done it. Because honestly, mentally, I wasn't there. She come across that room, a good 15 foot across that room, to get next to me to just tell me in my ear, Mr. Burrows, it's not happening now. Come back to now because it's no longer happening to you. She seen what happened. That's when I was diagnosed with complex PTSD because of my childhood. All right. That's where we started working on, okay, a real good possibility why you drink so much and why you do the drugs you do is because you're self-medicating because of your history. So once I learned coping skills on how to deal with those issues, it made recovering from my alcohol addiction and my drug addiction a lot easier for me because I know how to deal with the memories as they pop up in my head. You know, and without those, I wouldn't be where I'm at.
When you went into the halfway house in Clarksburg, were you provided any type of like follow-up with what you were doing towards your mental health issues? Like, were you on any medications? Did they put you in contact with a therapist? And did you find yourself struggling with the actual environment of a federal halfway house during that time frame?
The halfway house part, the only follow-up I had to do what's called TDAP, which is a follow-up to RDAP, the Residential Drug Abuse Program, as long as I was at the halfway house. I was at the halfway house for 6 months. All right, so I had to do that every Tuesday. As far as my mental health, if I felt like I needed to talk to someone, I would have to put in for a pass to go talk to someone, and they would connect me with the Summit Center or something like that to go talk to someone if I needed it. Thankfully, by that time, I had learned enough coping skills and enough about myself that I could tell when something was getting ready to go wrong, and I knew how to get myself into a better frame of mind, basically. The one thing with a halfway house is when I was at Morgantown up at the FCI up there, if you had any violence on your record, or if you had any charges on your record that will get you placed on the national registry, they were not allowed at Morgantown. So I didn't have to deal with either one of those because the FCI Morgantown does not have a fence around it, or did not at that time. I don't know if that's changed or not, and hopefully I'll never find out. All right.
Right.
But I had to deal with people that were on the registry. I had to deal with people that was in there for violence and everything while I was at the halfway house. Okay. The drugs was more available at the halfway house than they were in prison, and they were widely available in prison. So yeah, if I wanted to be dumb and go back to it, I could have. But it was my personal choice not to.
John, on this
Because
same subject, would you mind speaking about the time that you said yesterday you got checked kind of for your papers? Could you just say that experience to the rest of the people so they can understand what that means and you know the situation? That'd be great. Thank you.
Definitely. When I first got to Morgantown, like I said, I had self-report. About 4 to 5 hours after I got there, they finally got me down in a unit that I was assigned to. The units were set up in a dorm style. There's no locking door to a cell every night or anything like that. You're in a cube. 3 sides, and one is wide open. So I'm sitting in on my bunk. Just got there. I might have been in the cube 15, 20 minutes. And an older guy come up, and he was another inmate. He's on a walker. He looked at me, he says, "You got your papers?" I handed him my papers. I knew what he was looking for. He's trying to find out if I belonged on the registry. He's trying to find out if I was a snitch or whatever. He looked at my papers. He knew what numbers to look for. They know exactly what to look for in that paperwork. He handed my paperwork back and hollered through the door and said, "This was good." Things to me that I obviously was going to need, like a bowl to eat something, ramen noodles out of, or a cup to drink coffee out of. Brought me coffee, all this. Look, I got no way to read. Inmates bringing it to me, and they're like, "Dude, you don't have to repay. We take care of our own. Your paperwork says you're good. You're good. We take care of our own." This is not stuff that you're handed when you go in by the federal system. The CO's not going to hand you this stuff. Inmates hand you this stuff to help you out. I met more good people in the federal prison system as inmates than I know out on the streets right now. I met doctors. I met lawyers. I met former police officers. I met pharmacists that had all simply made mistakes. And they were in there with us. All right. In a way, it's not a funny story, but I do have a story on that. Me and 4 or 5 other inmates are standing around about 2 weeks after I got there. And we're out on the compound, standing around talking. And two COs walk up. Now, I'm not going to mention their names. But one of them looked at me and looked at all of us. He says, "Guys," he says, "I'm not going to be hard on either one, on any of y'all unless you give me a reason to. For the simple fact, I know that everybody that works there and everybody that works there knows we're one mistake from being one of y'all." Within a month, the second CO that was there became one of us because his home was raided and they found a whole lot of stuff that shouldn't have been there. So he ended up becoming an inmate. And that's where a lot of them, I've seen staff members at prisons and everything else that want to act like you're not human because you're an inmate. I'm sorry, I lost a lot of rights when I made the mistakes I made. But I did not lose the right to be a human being. I did not go in there for added punishment from someone who had an attitude because they thought they were better than somebody else. I don't care who they are. I'm not any better than anybody else, and nobody else is any better than me. We're all human. It doesn't make a difference where we're from. It doesn't make a difference what we look like. We're all human. And that's where I try to work with people that's in recovery. I try to work with people that have mental issues that try to prevent them from, hurting themselves or someone else. They can't help what's going on in their mind. It's not my place to judge it, but I can sit there and listen to them. Because like I said before, sometimes that's all anybody needs is an ear to hear them. I know I've needed it more times than I care to think about in my life. And thankfully, every once in a while, I was able to find somebody.
John, I guess my question is, during your incarceration phase and then following after, you stated that like the therapy and stuff made a huge difference and being connected to the VA. If you feel like someone would have done that intervention prior to your incarceration, that it like an early intervention could have possibly have saved you from being incarcerated, like if you would have been giving those tools prior to being arrested and knowing where to find those tools, that it could have possibly changed your outcome.
Oh, definitely, definitely. If I would have my VA connection before I was incarcerated, I would have known that these things were available. And I wouldn't have ended up incarcerated. I ended up incarcerated, and I know Samantha Ryan knows this. I don't know if I mentioned it to Barry or not. I ended up incarcerated because me and my ex-wife owned a little small shop selling tie-dye and all kinds of other stuff, hippie type stuff. And I got involved selling that synthetic marijuana, the potpourri, the spice, the K2, whatever you want to call it. If I would have had the coping skills to where I wasn't already doing the drugs, or I wasn't already drinking, I might have thought about it a little bit harder before I got involved selling that. All right. But what I seen was a way to make money to be able to support my habit and do other things also. So yeah, if I would have had known the coping skill, if I would have known before I went in there that this is why this is happening, this is why you have this frame of mind, this is why you think the way you think, I may not have made them steps and made them mistakes. What a lot of people don't realize, because like I said, most of mine was connected to childhood. What a lot of people don't realize is words do more damage than anybody can imagine. When you look at a child, you're worthless. You're nothing. You're a mistake. A child's going to grow up feeling like that. Part of my issue was both of my parents decided before I was 3 years old, and my brother was less than 2 years old. They both decided that they no longer wanted to be married. They no longer wanted to be parents. So they abandoned both of us. And that was the start. So we need
John,
education on all this stuff starting at an early age and with people. Yes, very.
John, thank you for sharing that. It's very personal, and I appreciate it. Before we open for questions and answers here, I wanted to ask you one quick thing. Could you talk about a Lowe's, the employer that you were able to hook up with when you got out? Real
When I
quick.
got out, I
Yes.
went to work for a bakery here in Clarksburg called Home Industries Bakery. They hired a lot of people from the halfway house. That wasn't the best job in the world. It wasn't what I was trained to do. As Barry mentioned, I spent 15 years as an auto mechanic, diesel mechanic. I spent a lot of other years in the construction trade. Sheet metal worker. I worked for pipe fitters, that type of work. So a bakery, yeah, that definitely was not in my line of work, but it's a job. There is, and a lot of people when they're first getting out don't even realize it. There is a load, a load of companies that's willing to hire convicted felons. Now, certain places cannot hire certain people. Okay, somebody who's going to end up on the registry for life cannot go to McDonald's and get a job. Because a lot of people that's on the registry is there because of children. McDonald's has a lot of children in it. So they're going to have to be selective of where they can go to work at. But there's a lot of companies that will hire. Lowe's is one of them. Walmart will hire convicted felons. There's a whole list of them.
And did anyone prior to you ending up at the halfway house provide you with any list of places or tell you places that may provide you employment once you were released?
Thankfully, there was a counselor at Morgantown, and she would tell you to call her Miss V, Mrs. V. because there was no way anybody could learn to pronounce her last name correctly because it's a Russian last name. Okay. Mrs. V has had a reentry program before she retired that would provide you with a list of places that will hire, that will provide you with a list of places that you could possibly get housing at and stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, I knew about a lot of the places that would hire. A lot of places, there's a program, federal program. I don't know if it's a state program or not. I can only speak on the federal side of it. There was a federal program, if it's still in existence, that if a place hires you after a certain amount of time, the federal government will send them a certain amount of money for hiring a convicted felon. So it's kind of an incentive to, hey, help this person get back on their feet a little bit by giving them a job, and we'll reimburse you a little bit.
Well, the federal bonding program.
Okay. I didn't know what the name of it was. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
John, I want to thank you so much for opening up to this group of people for me today and just kind of telling them your experiences. And I would like to go ahead and let everyone know that if you have any questions for John, he'd be more than happy to go ahead and answer those.
I got no problem talking or answering questions or anything else.
The comment is what you said about coping skills. I mean, it like struck a light in me because I had been in prison for like 10 years at this point. And all up until that time, we had these men counselors in a women's prison that I never really could connect with. And we got a new therapist. And that was the first thing she told me about was coping skills. And I was like, you're joking me, right? This isn't all because of coping skills, but come to find out that it was about coping skills that I didn't learn when I was little. And that changed my whole life. That opened me up to go to school, to go to yoga teacher training, and my whole life opened up. And this is the first time that I can honestly say in my life that I've lived sober. I don't need a drug to hold me up. And that was inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you. And I agree with you. Coping skills help me so much, it's not funny. I mean, unfortunately, I was 10 years old when I picked up my first beer. I swiped him from my guardian mother's boyfriend because I heard him the night before holler, you know, when I'm drinking, I can't remember. And by the time I was 10, I had a whole lot of things I wanted to forget.
Yeah.
And that was the start of it. That was the start of it. So the coping skills helped me a lot, you know, and just the thing of staying in the present, you know, because it's not helping now. It's not happening now. That person's not beating the daylights out of me now. I'm not getting talked to like I'm a piece of trash now. You know, so staying in the present and in coping skills helps me a lot.
Yes. Thank you for sharing the story. It's inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is the Inside Out art exhibit is a traveling art exhibit, and it is incarcerated artists within the West Virginia system. And there is a piece that in you're talking that made me think of, and it is a small child with a hoodie pulled over, and they're kind of crouched down, and around the mat, around the border of the piece of art, are all words that the fellow inmates had been called or said, or names that they had heard as children. So it's a very impactful piece of how words do stay with you forever. And when I work with youth, I do a toothpaste experiment, and I make them write out a negative word on a piece of paper, and then I make them trace it in toothpaste, and then try and put that toothpaste back in the tube, so that words are damaging and they can't ever be taken back, just like that toothpaste can't go back in that tube. So.
I do have a question, and it might be for the young lady that already works in the county jail or the prison system. I'm sorry, I didn't catch her name. But I know when I've attended the Eastern Panhandle Reentry Council, we've had a young lady that attends that meeting, and she's one of the drug counselors at our regional jail here. It was my understanding that inmates, and now this is in the county jail system, so I'm trying to verify if this happens in the state correctional facilities as well as the Federal Bureau of Prisons. Here at our county regional jail, inmates who do not have things such as birth certificates or social security cards or anything like that, they're issued a jail ID. And with that jail ID, they can go to DMV, they can go to Social Security, and they're able to get the documentation that they need. Does that apply for state prisons or Federal Bureau of Prisons?
So at Tiger Valley Regional Jail, if you are a goals participant, which is a female program that's kind of like our stat, they actually have grants as long as you were born in the state of West Virginia to help you obtain those documents. However, that only applies to our female inmates that are participant in that program. Anyone else, when they leave, they are given a piece of paper that they have X amount of time to take the DMV to get a state issued ID. But the truth is, a lot of the times we run into the fact that the person doesn't have any type of money for that ID. They're more concerned with where am I going to sleep and how am I going to stay sober. The MAP program has added a level of how am I going to get my medications, because a lot of these guys are being released without insurance. So they have no way to pay for their medication. So it seems like, honestly, a lot of the time that paper ID and getting a driver's license or surrendering their driver's license for the ID become kind of a last option for them at that moment.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm going to jump in as far as the federal system goes too. So for years we were told that their BOP ID that they have would not work, but that is now not necessarily true in every state. I don't think it's going to work here in West Virginia, but some states will actually take it as another form of a photo ID for them. So it really just depends on where the people are releasing to. Here, the different institutions that I go into, there are people, especially Hazleton, there are people that are releasing all over the country. So, you know, some of it it's beneficial for, some of it's not. I shared in the chat projectid.org. It's a program that is available for people that have been released that are having issues with funding for receiving their IDs. So what they'll do is they'll actually drive them to places if they need a ride there. They will help them fill out the paperwork. They'll make sure that everything gets taken care of the way that it should. I like to tell people, though, that if they have the ability, they have the funding to do it themselves, to do it that way while they're still incarcerated. Because if they wait until they come out, then they're relying on the wait time for however long it takes to get their birth certificate or whatever. But this is definitely something worth, if you have someone who doesn't have the funding and is really struggling that has been released, this is definitely something for them to look into. And they're nationwide, so you're going to be able to find someone, a contact somewhere locally that will be able to help them.
Yeah, this
That's
is great.
a great
Project
resource,
ID.
Ashley. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I've heard it before.
There is also a pilot program going on at Western Regional, and I don't, Terry, you go in there so you can confirm if it's working or not, but they are supposed to be released with an ID before they leave. So that is supposed to be happening at Western Regional, and that was the only place so far, but you're shaking your head no, so it's not happening.
Never happened, not yet.
It's happening. It happens at Eastern. It happens at Eastern Regional Jail. Our jail will release them with an ID, and then they go right over to DMV and they're able to get an ID. But again, you know, they need the money, you know, to pay for the cost of the ID.
So there's actually, it's legislation, isn't it, that they're supposed to be, the whole thought process is we're behind all these other states, but there are other states that they will have mobile DMVs come into the institutions, and if they're within so long of releasing, they actually walk out with a photo ID. that's the premise behind what they're trying to do. But I don't think the program's officially up and running because DMV keeps saying that there's barriers for them. So it's something that they're really trying hard to do. But right now, if you're released with your prison ID, you have 60 days. Don't quote me on that, but I feel like it's 60 days to take that, and you can use that photo ID to use as a second photo identification, just to get your ID. So it's helpful for a little bit if they jump right in and go and do it. But the thought process is they won't even have to go to the DMV because they're going to walk out with an ID. I think it's going to take years for that to fully roll out to all of our institutions. I hope that's not the case, but there's been a lot of pushback from what I've heard.
Did anyone else have any more questions? Because I really think this was a great session, and I want to thank everyone for their attendance.
I think it's been great, and I will share with you later, Barry Lee and Samantha, the YouTube recording, and if you don't download the chat notes, I'll share those with you as well. But welcome to as the new co-chairs for this council. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you, Krisha. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So you feel free to close us out, sir.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank everyone for coming today, and we're going to go ahead and wrap so you guys can get back to your day, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again. Our next meeting coming up, Krisha, is the third Wednesday, right?
I don't know. I didn't hear back from Samantha, so we're going to go with third Wednesdays.
Okay, third Wednesday it is of next month. And we're looking to have another guest. So maybe I can send out an email, let people know who the next guest would be. Cool. Sounds great. I want to thank everyone for the resources, especially. I learned a lot today, and I'm going to reach out to a couple people. We have some situations here that's going to be really helpful. So I can't thank you all any more than I just have. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. See you all either at the next reentry council for some other county or see you here next month. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.